just to warn you, there's a lot of content to get through today. This is definitely an overarching view of a lot of the different elements of marketing your online store. So it's kind of a marathon sprint going through everything. We will be looking to put together content directly related to each of these elements coming up soon. So we'll get a chance to dig in and give you a little bit more information about each part. This is definitely like a Cliff Notes overarching view. So please excuse as we kind of hoon through this. But yeah, hopefully you'll get some really good value out of it. Okay, so it sounds like people can hear me coming through, so that sounds great. I'm going to turn off my little video and then we'll get started. There will be an opportunity, just one last thing, there will be an opportunity to write questions at the end. Feel free to write them along the way. My team may be able to answer them for you as we go. Otherwise, I'll look to tackle those at the end. We'll allow a bit of time. Worst case scenario, you can always reach out to us afterwards and I'll provide details around that. Great. Okay. So jumping in, covering today, just look about who we are, what we're seeing in e-commerce, especially with the current situation, having a look at your advertising platforms that might be right for your business, what you want to play with, looking at Google as well as social media advertising, other things you can do with social media, looking at email and is it dead, and then also a quick look at SEO and reviews, and then finally how you can measure success. Cool, so first of all, who we are. So we're Soulpepper. We've been around since 2013. We do everything from online advertising, so SEM, Google Ads, SEO, all the way to web design. So we've worked with a lot of different e-commerce businesses as well as some local businesses as well. And we, come to you with a pretty strategic approach as well as getting down to the nitty-gritty and the day-to-day of managing really great campaigns for you guys. So that is us. Here's some of our team. That's me at the top there. We've got a really great range of expertise in our Soulpepper family to deliver great results. Here's some of the e-commerce businesses that we've worked with over the years. So a really great range. A lot of them we have a lot of them in the fashion lifestyle industry. But of all different shapes and sizes. So we've learnt, as much as they've taught us, we've learned a lot from them as well along the way, and it gives us a really good place to talk to what we've seen as some really valuable lessons that we can share with you as well. And just who we are, so we're a premier Google partner. That means we get access to some really great resources from Google, as well as access to reps who help us review campaigns, go over accounts, and provide us with beta programs. It's a really great resource for us, and then onwards for our clients. We're also a Facebook marketing partner and a micro advertising, previously known as Bing. We're a partner with them. We have 5-star reviews on Google as well as on Glassdoor, which is really important to us. We think that happy people do good work. Also, we were named in 2017 one of Canada's top new growth companies in the Startup 50. So that's basically us. So jumping in, I think we just want to jump in and have a look at what we're seeing in e-commerce in 2020. Obviously, we don't need to go over that. It's crazy times. But just as far as what might make it a bit different from the other years. So this is some data that Google gave to me last week. So what it's saying is that as a result of COVID-19, we're seeing that e-commerce will account for 9% of all retail in Canada in 2020. So this is up 21% over 2019. So 22 million people in Canada will be digital buyers this year, which is 69% of the population. So as you guys know, which is probably why you're in the business, e-com is not going anywhere, and it's a really great place to be right now. It's not just e-commerce, but mobile e-commerce is also growing significantly. It grew at 27% this year with, so mobile sales specifically represent 33% of all e-commerce sales. Just a couple of little data points that we found as far as changes since the beginning of the year. Unsurprisingly, perhaps, we're seeing a big uptake in the use of social media. Looking at this top graph, it went from 20% to 24%. as far as share of time spent by Android users, just from January 1st to April 12th, just in those 4 months. Also looking down the bottom, which is a bit of a spoiler alert for the email section, we've seen a growth of 14% on visits and 70% of minutes spent on email, as well as really significant growth in the use of instant messaging apps, 31% growth in visits to those. Just looking at March 2020 versus the end of December, beginning of January. So yeah, some pretty significant changes in user behavior, which is important for us to keep in mind. And people want different things now. This is from a survey that was done by Global Web Index, asking consumers what they're expecting from brands in this time. So up the top is, practical information and tips which actually help people, charitable acts, running promotions for customers is still up there, which is good information. I know some brands that I spoke to were wondering how much emphasis to put on heavy promotions during this time, but that's still important, obviously due to financial constraints from some people. And on that note, offering different payment terms, like getting into Afterpay if you haven't done so. But also, running advertising that shows that you're aware of what's going on. So having a bit of, on that awareness, looking at a bit of etiquette, just have a look at what you're putting out in the world. Check that it's still sensitive with the current climate. On the right-hand side, there's a little example, not to make an example of them, but it says, we're making reusing so beautiful, sexy, and infectious that everyone will be doing it. So just, I had to laugh, but just kind of keep an eye on what you've been, the messaging that you've been doing, make sure it's still relevant and appropriate in this time. Also, just keep a note if you're advertising on Google, there's certain terms around COVID and coronavirus that you're not allowed to put in your ad copy or bid on. And you're not allowed to be seen to be capitalizing on this pandemic, basically. So that aside, let's have a look at what the right platform is for your business. So here we're talking about actual e-commerce platforms. Most of you might actually already be really happy with your current platform, or you might be considering moving, or you might be about to build your online store and wondering what you should use. This is one of the biggest questions that we get from clients. So there's a lot of different companies out there in the market. Some of them are SaaS-based products. They're online, you're paying them a monthly fee, like Shopify, Squarespace, and Wix. Others, there's open source platforms like WordPress and Magento. And they each have their different pros and cons. So just a note of things to consider when you're choosing this most essential tool for your e-com store. First up, have a look at your scalability and the integrations that are available. So what is your business goal? Where do you want to be headed in the future? What growth are you looking at? So make sure that the platform you're choosing works for you, not just today, but also tomorrow. Something, for example, say Wix and Squarespace might be appropriate if you have a couple of products, but if you're looking to grow to 300 SKUs in 5 countries in a year, it might be worth your while to invest in a more robust platform from the get-go. You also need to look at how much customizing you want to do. If your product itself is complex, for example, if you're selling an HVAC system which has various add-ons, different variants to the product, different conditions, you may need a custom checkout. That is a lot harder to do on Shopify, Squarespace, Wix than it is to do on a WordPress site or Magento. The more bells and whistles you want, if you add those as continuous apps on one of the SaaS products, you might find that it will slow down because you don't get to choose where, at what point these are loaded on the site. So it can create a lot of issues with your site speed. If you have a lot of functionality that you want and you require, it can be better to go for a more custom option so that it can be built in the right way while not completely torpedoing your site speed. Looking at SEO, which we'll talk about later, it's very important for ecom, and the SEO friendliness is different for each of these platforms. For example, looking at the lower touch SaaS products like Shopify, Wix, and Squarespace, Shopify is more SEO friendly just through the nature of the back-end code. However, if you need multi-country support, if you have stores based in US, Canada, France, and Dubai, you're going to need a system, a platform which can handle multi-country more effectively than those can, especially from an SEO perspective. Security, speed, and mobile friendliness are also really important. A lot of these template-based sites like Shopify have a lot of mobile-friendly templates to choose from, so make sure you do select one of those. Make sure your site has an SSL certificate, which means it's secure, especially for e-com, so important. People are putting their credit card information in, giving personal information over. It's essential that you have a very secure site. With Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, they all have hosting included. If you go for one of the other options, you need to sort that out separately. Make sure you're not cheaping out on that. A good hosting can make your site run faster and be more secure. Cheaper is not better when it comes to hosting. And just look at your budget and resources. And when and where you can spend that money. You'll find that it's enticing because, say, WordPress is open source, so it's free, effectively, to use. However, same with Magento, but you're going to spend a lot more money in development hours because it's less user-friendly as far as making small adjustments. And a Magento developer might cost you a lot more money than a developer who's able to make some small style adjustments to your Shopify site. So it's just about knowing that you might have a lower upfront cost, but then a lot of money to pay later. And thinking about the resource you have in your team and the expertise. You might want to go with a very user-friendly platform if you know that it's just going to be yourself making small adjustments and you don't want to have to involve a developer all the time. Whew. So you've got your site, you've organized which one it is that you're going to go with. Now you want to make sure that people know about it so you can start advertising your store. So where do you start? So I'm going to go over this very quickly because this is a whole nother webinar in itself, but just having a quick look at the marketing funnel to really understand when we're talking about these different tactics, who we're trying to attract. So the marketing funnel is basically how we break down the client journey from awareness all the way down to the conversion stage. It takes 7 interactions on average before someone takes a buying action online. So the first phase we have is awareness. They're not actively looking for your product, but they might meet your target customer profile. They might be in your persona that you've created. Then we have the interest phase, where they're searching for products like yours, but not your actual store specifically. They might not be aware that you hold that product. Consideration is when they know who you are, but they're still making that decision whether they actually want to buy. And the conversion phase is when they know who you are, they know that you have your product, and they need it immediately, and they're ready to go. So really it's about removing all the barriers that would stop them making a conversion at that point and purchasing from your site. So Google Ads is one of the market leaders as far as digital advertising and a really great way to reach customers. So they have a number of different products. The first one that we're going to talk about is search ads. So these are the text-based ads that are at the top of the page on the search engine results page. So here's 2 examples. I use bread makers, don't know why, but here's 2 examples of the paid search ads. So what's really great about search is that you know the intent of the person you're reaching because it's all based on keywords. So you know that they're looking for X widget because they've actually typed it into a box. You're not having to guess based on the demographics of that person. So because of that, we know that they're high intent and they lower down that marketing funnel. Another product that Google has is shopping ads. So what makes shopping ads better than search from the get-go, especially if your product is really visual, is that obviously, as you can see here, you have a picture with it. So it can be really great for clothing and jewelry and other products that benefit from being advertised visually. These are also paid ads. And the information for these is pulled from a product feed, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So instead of bidding on keywords for shopping ads, it's actually Google's looking at your titles of your products and matching those to the search terms based on how relevant they think they are. So it can be less complex to set up shopping ads, and I often recommend this to smaller e-commerce companies looking to just get their product out there. You can potentially reach less customers who haven't heard of your site at all. It can be cheaper to reach them through Google Shopping than it can be through search ads. So it's a good option to look into. Then we have display ads. So this is an example from weather.com, a site that you're going to get a bunch of ads shown to you all the time. So there's a difference between this ad at the top here and the ad on the side. So this is a remarketing display ad. So it's an image ad that's targeting people who have already been to your website. So you have a visitor, they come to your site, then they leave for some reason, then they go to another site like weather.com and they'll see your ad, and when they click on it, they go back to your website. So these can be really valuable, especially if you're targeting people specifically who left at the cart stage, so the abandoned cart. You can serve ads specifically for those people, encourage them to come back and complete their purchase. So we're building a cabin, and I was looking at specifically vanity lights to go over the mirror. So this ad is showing some of the exact products that I was looking at, as well as some more to entice me to come back to the site. Conversely, this ad on the side is shown to me. I've never been on the Army Reserve website, don't really intend to, but this ad is being shown to me based on my demographics. So it could be my age, where I live. It says find a unit near you, so maybe the local unit is trying to advertise specifically. Could be because I've previously looked at fitness-related searches, and so now it's showing anyone who's interested in health and fitness Army Reserve information. So I have not been on Army Reserve site, but I'm still being shown it based on my characteristics. So that's a prospecting display ad. So for those, just to dig into it a little bit more, you can target anyone by interest, demographics, gender, age, etc. So these are these selections that you can make for those ads. You can also select it based on interest in other related brands or products. And you can also target them geographically. So you can be really specific about, you can create fencing basically around geographic areas to quite specifically target people to a local area. This can be really great if you maybe have a product that's weather dependent or related to a certain local event. You can show very specific advertising. And just as a short note on one of Google's newest products, it's not actually advertising because it's free. They've just launched shopping listings, organic shopping listings, which show up in the shopping tab of the search page on mobile, as you can see up here. You don't actually pay to appear in these. The information is pulled from a product feed that you can submit through the Merchant Center, which I'll talk about in a minute, or through your product schema on your site. So this can be a really good way of getting your product out there for no money, which is always great. Talking a little about product feeds. Now, this is a whole webinar in itself, so I'm going to really oversimplify this. But product feeds are really important as a tool for giving your product information for various advertising platforms. So when it comes to, say, Google Shopping, how it works is basically this. You've got your e-commerce site at the top, say you're on Shopify or WooCommerce, and then you need to send your product data basically from your inventory through to Google. So you can do this directly by sending it to the Merchant Center, or you can send it via an optimization step manually through a Google Sheet, or you can go through a feed optimizer such as Data Feed Watch, where you can make changes to the feed information, goes into the Merchant Center. From there, it's approved by Google, and then the product information goes into, say, Google Ads for Google Shopping. It goes into organic shopping listings, or here is also where it might go into, say, Facebook for Facebook product ads. So your site will have some kind of product feed generator app that you can install. Also, some of the optimization tools have their own app that you can use as well. From an optimization standpoint, so Google has set attributes that is required in order to have product data approved for a shopping ad or a dynamic remarketing ad where you see specific products. So you might need to adjust the data, the raw data that comes out of your website to meet those attributes. Sometimes you might need to add additional missing information like UPC codes. You might not have them on your site, but in a separate spreadsheet. So you might need to match those together. Or you can also optimize, because Google looks at the title of your product to match to searches, you might want to optimize that title to match more searches. For example, if your products have fun names like Azul, when really it's a blue top, you might want to change that in title to blue so it's more like this match a search for someone looking for a blue top. You can create rule-based with a tool like Dovefeed, what you can create rules so that you can make changes on bulk. Say if you have, 1,000 SKUs. Otherwise, you can do this manually through Google Sheets and literally just enter in all your product information. The Merchant Center, as I mentioned, is where this data goes to and is approved, and then creates ads like you're seeing down below. So that was your very quick feed intro. If you have any questions on that, that is often something that you might need some support with. We can definitely help as an agency. We do some setup and ongoing optimization, or if you just need support, then feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions there of how that could work for you. But Google's putting more and more emphasis on their shopping product, and so having a really good feed information can be a really great tool in your arsenal. So shifting now over to social media as another option for driving sales. So if you need another reason why Facebook is kind of ruling the world, it had 2.45 active monthly users. 2.45 billion active monthly users. The billion is the important part. Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, had another billion. The other social media networks kind of trail behind in comparison, but they could be valuable for you to look into depending on who your audience is. The reason we talk about Facebook and Instagram predominantly for social media to begin with is that it has such a large reach that usually whoever you're going after is likely to be on Facebook or in one of their additional products like WhatsApp or Messenger or Instagram at some point. So it's an easy bit of way of reaching people. A little bit more on Facebook. Because, as I kind of mentioned, because of their large network, that makes them a really great candidate for advertising. So there's a couple of different ad types that you can utilize on Facebook and Instagram, and they can be helpful in different ways for promoting your products. So you have the plain photo image ad type. You can put really great, clean, simple photography in there to promote with a really clear call to action button like here we've got shop now. Video is increasingly a really great way of showcasing your product. It can show a bit more of your brand and allow you to give a bit more information. You can also match that with product information like you can see in this example. Stories, there's more and more people utilizing stories, and it can be a really great way to interrupt that browsing and showcase your brand. It's more immersive experience, edge to edge. And so you can be a bit more playful, and really it's a lot more kind of brand focused when it comes to stories. Messenger is a really great way of connecting directly with your customers. If you didn't know, you can actually advertise in Messenger as well, and then directly respond to any engagement right there in Messenger. Carousels can also be a really great way of showcasing individual products. You can get pretty creative to showcase different features around one product or different products within one range. And this is my favorite, shoppable posts on Instagram. So what I love about this is you can still use your beautiful lifestyle imagery or flat lays to showcase your brand, but then you can also pinpoint the use of products within that, highlight them directly. People can click on those, click on the product, and then go straight to your website to check out. So it's a really great way of taking the customer really quickly from that idealistic kind of brand positioning of the product all the way through to a purchase really quickly. As far as tools go, Facebook Ad Manager is where you'll manage any of your advertising campaigns. But a tool that a lot of people don't know about is the Business Manager, which can be really valuable as far as kind of pulling all your Facebook related assets and data together. So you set this up for your company and allows you to connect your ad manager you might have different ad managers for if you have different sub-brands. It also connects your Facebook pages. Once again, you might have multiple different pages, plus your Instagram account. So for example, if you're trying to create an audience for a Facebook ad, but you want to pull in people who follow your page, but also followers of your Instagram account, you can combine those audiences by combining the assets. It also pulls in your data sources that Facebook uses, which is your product catalogs, which is basically the same thing as your shopping feed. You can use a very similar version of that you use for your Google Shopping. It also pulls in your pixels, which is the tag on your site that allows you to track visitors, collect audiences, and also track conversions. You can share pixels between, if you have 2 different websites, but you want to share those pixels for one advertising campaign, you can do that here as well. Sharing audiences, I mentioned, or sharing custom events, like if, instead of a purchase, it might be a sign up or a quiz completion or anything like that. You can also manage your billing and payment methods across multiple ad accounts. And also, if you have someone helping you on the business with your Facebook, you can add a user and then add them to your ad manager but not your pages, or add them to your pages but not your ad manager and not your billing. So it allows you that control as a business to see who has access to what. Okay, so advertising aside, what else can you leverage on social media? So as you might know by now, it's really important that you have a really strong social media presence. You want to make sure that your Facebook page is updated, that you have a really strong profile image, a cover image, a call to action. You're utilizing all the tools on the Facebook page, and make sure you highlight any recommendations and reviews. It's really important for building your presence and really connecting with your existing community and building that tribe. Helps you to build credibility. People often go and look at your social pages before making a purchase. And yeah, another opportunity, another avenue for showcasing your products. This example on the right with Nike, I had to laugh because I was screen recording it and then it went to a product that was no longer available. So even Nike does things like that. Another note is Facebook Shops, which is a brand new product that Facebook launched at the end of last month. This is available in the US only at the moment, and it's been rolled out slowly. It's kind of still in beta, but it's going to be a full branded shop living within your Facebook page that people can interact with different products as well as even purchase while still staying on Facebook. We actually posted a blog about this today, I believe. So go to our website and check it out, which gives you a bit more information if you've got a site based in the US, and hopefully it'll come to Canada soon as well, but it's pretty exciting. Just a quick note on when you're thinking about what you're posting on your Facebook page, on your Instagram account, or any social that you're engaging with. It just doesn't have to be product announcements. You can use it to highlight customer testimonials and like further highlight your experience or how many years you've been in the brand. Different articles or tips based on the products you sell. Like I had an example here, 10 great cafes in Vancouver that give BYO cup discounts. So you might use that if you sell reusable coffee cups. If you sell jade rollers for your face, it might be an article about the new health benefits that have just been communicated. It's an opportunity as well to dig into product features. If you've got a smaller number of products and you're kind of running out of products to profile, dig in. What is the feature about that product that makes it unique, and give your customer base an opportunity to learn more. As well as it's a really great opportunity for building your community, highlighting product reviews, featuring happy customers, doing unboxing, and developing influencer relationships. That's an influencer marketing. It's a whole other thing, kind of falls into PR as well. So I won't dig into it here, but it can be a really great way of broadening your reach on social media as well. As far as tools go, Hootsuite and other social media management systems like this can be really helpful for reducing the time it takes to manage your social media profiles. So what you can do on a platform like Hootsuite is you can draft up posts. You can connect different platforms. It could be your different Instagram accounts, Facebook pages. You can schedule them up. They can be approved by someone else, and then you can schedule them to post at different times. So you could do all your social media posts, the ones that aren't so reactive, you could do them for the whole 2 weeks or for a month, and have them ready to go, and then just go in and put more time-sensitive posts in as you need to. But it can be a really big time saver, and they also have a really great content library that you can utilize. Cool, so jumping right along, I told you this is a runaway train. Is email dead? So short answer is no. As you saw in the data we presented at the beginning, there's been that increase of 14% in visits to email just in the last couple of months. And we generally see we get some really great results from email for most of our clients. The main benefits you see is, number one, it's high intent. So we talked about that funnel. These are people that are aware of your brand. Possibly they've already purchased with you before. So they're, high intent, at the bottom of the funnel, ready to go. Also, you have an opportunity here for long form content. If you've been mostly relying on social media, there's only so many characters in a post. Whereas if you want to really dig in to some information about your product or dig in more about your brand, here's your opportunity to do so. There's really great opportunities for automation with email marketing. For example, you might want to set up a welcome series when someone comes and signs up for your email. You can tee up 4 separate emails that go out over the course of 3 weeks, introducing them to your brand, potentially giving them an offer. And all of that can happen automatically without you having to do it. Same with abandoned cart emails. It can work for you in the background. There's also some really great, powerful tools around segmentation with email marketing. So you can segment your customer list based on how recently they purchased from you or how much they usually spend with you, their average order value. And you can then create different messaging to send to those different groups based on who's more, or maybe you're only going to prioritize people who haven't messaged you in a long time or haven't opened an email in a long time. It just allows you to be more intentional with your messaging rather than just a blast to everybody. And on a similar note, we have personalization. You often get more information about your subscriber list than you would about someone following on your Facebook. You can send them specific information based on what they look at on your site, based on what their name is, based on maybe you sell clothing, and so you know that they're female, so you can just send them female versions of your clothing. So you can ensure that it's some more relevant content going into the inbox. There's a lot of different email marketing tools that you can use. These are a couple that we use with our clients, and like the e-commerce platform, it kind of really depends on a couple of different factors. Once again, scalability and integrations. How many people are on your list, and how many people do you want to be on your list next year? Also looking at what's going to integrate the best with your CRM, with your e-commerce platform. If you're wanting to pull in product information to show like dynamic product content, you want to make sure that it's a really smooth integration because that can be a real headache. Once again, always about money, budget and resources. A tool like Bronto is more of an enterprise level one that can cost a bit of money to set up and ongoing on a monthly cost. If you're going to use it and if you have a large enough customer base to warrant that, it can be a really powerful tool. If you're not, then it might be a waste of your money if you're not going to make use of the functionality. Also looking at ease of use. Depending on the expertise within your team and who's going to be setting up these campaigns, make sure it's something that it's easy enough for you to manage on a daily, weekly basis. And then looking at what you want to do as far as the personalization, segmentation, automations that we talked about, and make sure that the tool you choose is able to do that for you. Just a quick look. So as I mentioned, so Bronto is more of the enterprise level. It has a lot of functionality. Stint & Blue is a much lighter touch. It'd be the opposite end of the scale, a lot cheaper and more limited functionality, but basic, easy to use. MailChimp is very easy to use. That's kind of what its calling card is. Pretty low cost and has built out a lot of functionality. Klaviyo kind of sits in the middle, but there's a lot of ones out there as well. So reach out if you need help looking at those. Excuse me. I just need to take a drink. Okay, looking at the last thing on email is acquisition tools. So if you don't have many people on your subscriber list, but you want them, then there is a couple of different ways that you can do that. A lot of e-commerce platforms have built-in pop-ups or apps that you can add. There's also third-party tools. Just Uno is a great one. The reason I like it is because you can do some quite sophisticated A/B testing, which you can't always do with the built-in pop-ups on the site. So not only can you use these to encourage your site visitors to sign up email, you can offer discounts, which can be generic or dynamic to that person. Also, they've got exit intent technology, which means if someone goes to exit out of your site you can send a different message to them. So to try and entice them to come back with an offer or some support information. Another good way of collecting emails is through your social campaigns. So you might decide that instead of driving people to make a purchase from your Facebook ad, you're driving them to subscribe, and that's going to be your call to action. That can sometimes be a cheaper call to action to go after to start off with. It might be more successful, and then you've got that person's email, they're on your list, and then you can nurture them to make a purchase. This can often be effective if you have a higher price point on your items as well, and they're less likely to make a purchase straight off social media. You've got a better chance to kind of nurture them along their journey. And also you can kind of decide an email address might be more valuable to you if you're trying to make get people to do a lot of repeat purchases. So jumping into SEO for a minute. So this also is a pretty heavy topic that we could talk about for probably days. So I'm going to go very high level here, but I just don't want you to forget about it as well. Sorry, I'm just going to need to take one more drink. So is it important? Once again, spoiler alert, yes. So in case you're not familiar, SEO, I'll read from here, is the process of growing the quality and quantity of your website traffic by increasing the visibility of a website or a web page to users of a search engine. So when people go to Google, it's about getting your company's website showing up higher on the search results page. And these are organic listings. So this is not your paid ads that show at the top. This is the free organic listings below that. So there's a number of ways to improve your SEO, and people spend their lives working on this. But to oversimplify it, first is relevant content. So you want to decide what people you're targeting, what searches you're targeting, and then ensure your site content is relevant to that. So for example, say you sell biodegradable drinking straws, but you're wondering, do you want to use the word compostable or eco-friendly or perishable instead of biodegradable? So you can use the Google Keyword Planner, which will provide a link to this at the end of the webinar, to have a look at what the average monthly searches are for that term. So we know here, compostable didn't even show up, perishable didn't show up either, but biodegradable had a high number of monthly searches. Drinking straw had less than straw itself, so you'd probably be safe to use the term biodegradable straw. It also tells you how high the competition is. This is from an advertising perspective. So it is helpful, but it's not necessarily your organic competition levels. But it can be really great for just making decisions on the content or what articles you might write about as well. You also want to make sure that your site and its pages are indexable by Google, which means that they can be read by Google's bots when they come to scan your site. Because when they scan your site, that's how they use that information to make a decision on how far up the search results page they're going to show your website. So things like your metadata in the back end of your page, your canonicals, which is your referring links, your schema, and your overall sitemap is all that information that lives behind the page, which is talking to Google, exactly telling Google what's on the page. Metadata is the content on the page, whereas product schema is your specific product information. So Google Search Console is a tool that you can connect to your site, that you should definitely connect to your site. And it can be really helpful for showing any warnings that you might have or errors or opportunities for improvement. So here it's got some areas around your product data as well as your mobile usability. There's also a tool called the Google Structured Data Testing Tool. It's a long name, but basically you put in a product page and it tells you all the information that Google's reading off that page. So you can look for errors in the way that's communicated to Google, as well as missing information. Another way to improve SEO is make sure your site is running fast. So excessive scripts, apps, or code issues can slow down your site. So as I mentioned, when you're choosing your e-com platform, you want to avoid adding any unnecessary features, as this can slow down your site. As I mentioned, if you do have a lot of features to add, you might want to look at a more custom solution for your e-com platform that can handle it, and tell the page what order to load these different things in, so it's not going to slow down your site. Another big one is assuring that your images are sized for web. a really great way to kill your site speed is to have beautiful, big, glorious lifestyle imagery that is way too big, and so it's going to take way too long to load. Slow down your site so Google ranks it low and no one comes and sees your beautiful images anyway. A tool you can use to look at your page speed is Google PageSpeed Insights, which will show you a score of your site based on your mobile and desktop speed. I'm losing my voice. Another way to prove your SEO is to make sure it's mobile friendly. Google, year after year, Google is putting more and more emphasis on the mobile friendliness of a site. So you want to make sure that you're choosing those mobile friendly templates when you're selecting the templates for your site, and then any changes that you're making, make sure you're testing on all device types. Google has a tool called the Google Mobile Friendly Test, which does what it says in the box and tells you if your page is mobile friendly. And then number 4 is reducing broken pages and links. So if links go into a 404 page, the error page, it's annoying for us, but also means you can be penalized by Google and it'll affect your rankings. So for ecom, when a product is discontinued, make sure that you're redirecting that traffic to a relevant page and not just leaving it there as an error. Google Search Console can once again be helpful here because it will show you any errors, any broken pages or issues that you're showing on your site. Another tool for improving SEO, which is a whole nother thing, is building links back to your site. This can be done through directories, affiliate relationships, getting people to link back to you. But basically, the more and better quality the sites the more links you have back to your site, and the better quality that those sites are, the better for your SEO. Okay, so quick note on reviews so that your customers can tell you what they really think. Reviews are really important for ecom as a trust factor for the buyer. Social proof through positive reviews are more and more important as years go on for customer purchasing. It's basically word of mouth for the internet. So you want to make sure, say, if you've got your Facebook page, that you're profiling those reviews, encouraging your customers to make those reviews on your Facebook page. It can also improve your click-through rate on your ads. So by collecting reviews through Google or a third-party review provider that's accredited, you can create product ratings and seller ratings, and these can be added as extensions on your Google search or your shopping ads as well. So here's an example of Google's shopping ads with the ratings down below. So that is all created from reviews. They can also improve the SEO of your products. Because reviews are dynamic content that are populating on the product page and being updated, Google's reading that as relevant, updating information, especially when people are using terms that are relevant to the keywords that you're going after. If Google can also read these ratings through your schema, which is that kind of backend information that you can check through the structured data testing tool, it can also help Google rank your products higher than your competitors with lower or no ratings. Will my voice hang out for the rest of this webinar? Well, let's see. Okay. That's just an example of reviews on a product page. These ones here are generated by a third-party tool, but Google has their own Google customer reviews that you can set up through the Merchant Center. You might have seen Google send you like a little pop-up after you made a purchase on a website asking you to review. That's what this is. And then that contributes to your seller ratings on Google. But you can also use third-party tools like Bazaar Voice, Reseller Ratings, Yotpo. This example right here was Yotpo. You want to pick one that is accredited by Google so that the reviews are aggregated into a Google seller rating. And they often have a lot of additional features like questions and answers, like an easy way for people to write the reviews on the site, and a lot of different kind of other functionality that can be really helpful for just getting people more likely to make a purchase on your site too. So lastly, I just want to talk about measuring success, because all of the stuff that we've talked about is completely useless to you if you don't know what's working and what's not. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. So if you're doing Google Ads, you want to be looking at your reporting in your Google Ads. You want to be looking at your top line metrics. Look at how much you're spending, how many conversions coming through, your conversion rates and your value coming through. Just make sure you're actually looking at this data rather than just pushing go and forgetting about it. Google also has a Chrome extension called Tag Assistant, which can be really great if you're not sure what you have on your site for tracking conversions. If you install the Tag Assistant, it'll record all the tags that are on your site and tell you. So that way you'll be able to identify, maybe if you have different people set up different tags over the years, you can kind of streamline what's on there, and which can also help with the speed of your site. So that's a really great way of identifying what you already have on there. If you're advertising on Facebook, make sure that you're looking at the insights on the platform. At the top there, you click on insights. That's going to give you some really great graphs and showing, for example, how many women are your fans as opposed to men. You can use your advertising to then target those groups. Facebook also has a tool called the Pixel Helper, another Chrome extension, which will tell you the pixel you have on your site, which is conversion tracking and audience builder. So you know if you've already got one, what the number is, so you can connect it to your advertising. But the biggest tool that I would recommend is Google Analytics, which is basically going to be able to measure all the activity through your site across multiple platforms. So if you're doing some advertising on Google and Facebook and something else, you'll be able to see it all come together in Google Analytics. Google also has something called the Tag Manager, which basically is a container that goes in the back end of your site, holding all your different conversion tracking tags. This can help to speed up your site because the site's not having to load all the tags individually. And it can be a really easy way for you, maybe as a non-developer, to make changes to any of your conversion tracking and pixel tracking. But when it comes to Google Analytics, definitely add this to your site. Otherwise, you're kind of flying blind if you're not using this or another analytics tool. If there's 3 reports that I would tell you to look at, it's here. So if you come into your analytics, go to acquisition, all traffic channels. This is going to tell you your acquisition, who's come to your site from different places. So you'll see here that there was the most users came through from organic search, people clicking on those organic listings. Then there was direct was up there, which is basically people just typing in your website into the search bar. Paid search was any of your Google ads, and socials down there as well. So that's in the broad, at the broad level. You can also drill down by clicking on source medium, which will break out paid search into it might be the difference between Google and Bing or Microsoft advertising. So you can really see where these users are coming from and also where your conversion's coming from. They're called transactions in Google Analytics, and also see where your revenue is. It can be really interesting to look at your conversion rate across your different channels and sources as well. Another great report in Google Analytics is your shopping behavior. So this is under conversions, e-commerce shopping behavior. And this is going to show you the out of all the sessions that came to your site, who dropped off and at what point. So this can be really great for identifying issues you might be having on site, where you might have a lot of people adding to cart, but then people abandoning, or no people adding to cart. So you might need to make changes to your product page. In general, when you're looking at your analytics, whether you're just even looking at your e-commerce platform, the reporting that's inbuilt there, you need to be looking at your conversions. Without that, you're definitely flying blind. You need to be looking at your conversion value. So you might be getting a lot of conversions from one channel, but really there are a lot of smaller purchases, where another channel you might be seeing people are investing in higher cost items. So that might affect the decisions you make around each advertising channel. Your ROAS, which is your return on ad spend. So that's your conversion value divided by your cost. And that will be a ratio, which is a really great snapshot of which platform is performing better. And it's a great way for you to set a target. You might say, I want a ROAS go for a ROAS of 3 to 1. So for every $1 I spend, I get $3 back. You will find that you want to have targets for different channels. that might be different because of that marketing funnel we talked about. Those that are down the bottom, maybe looking at search and shopping, directly searching for your product, are more likely to make a purchase. So the ROAS will be higher than if you're doing display targeting, where you're just sending an ad out to the world based on someone's persona. It's valuable because you're introducing the brand to those people, but they might be at this point less likely to convert, so they'll have a lower ROAS. Same goes for conversion rate. You want to see what that is per channel, because that can definitely change. A lot of people ask what is the ideal conversion rate, and it could be anywhere from 0.5% to 5% or more, but it will depend on your industry, the country you're advertising in. There's also a really big difference between mobile and desktop. Often people will browse on mobile, then come and purchase on desktop. So you'll see a low conversion rate on mobile and higher on desktop. Once you start looking at these metrics, you're able to set targets and then understand growth when you have it. Cool, so we got there and my voice is still here. This is just an overview of all the tools we covered today in the last 53 minutes. We got through a lot. As I mentioned, we definitely will be looking to create more content for you guys, more educational pieces where we'll dig into each of these sections, because I know it was a very light touch for you. But we will be sending an email out after this webinar with links to all of these tools, so you can go and have a play around. So it'll come from, will probably come from success@soulpepper.com or Katherine@soulpepper.com. So make sure you kind of look out for that in your inbox and have a read, because that'll be an easy way for you to find each of these. So I encourage you to book a consultation. Any attendees to our webinars, you get a free 30-minute consultation. So we can have a look at your website, have a look at your existing advertising, and just provide any feedback we can to make sure it's meeting the goals that you have for your online store. Also keep an eye out on our content. If you go to soulpepper.com/blog, as I mentioned, there was a post that went up today about the new Facebook shops, and we're putting up more and more e-com content on there that I think you'll find really helpful. Or feel free to just reach out to us, success@soulpepper.com, if you have any questions. So lots of ways to reach out. And that's it.